Hey guys, back again. Today it is an upper ball joint for a C230 1997 W202. You might be wondering why I'm doing all of these ridiculous repair videos. I got this car for almost nothing and have just been constantly upgrading it, doing all the little things it needed. They're cheap, they're easy to do, and it gives me something to do. Anyway, first step, you've got the bolts for the upper control arm are down behind the windshield washer reservoir and down underneath your brake master cylinder. Excuse me, I've got a cold today. Anyway, first thing you do, 10mm nut on the top of the windshield washer reservoir. And then this sucker just pops up, and this will pop out of the way enough. See the bolt down there? This bolt right here looks like 17 probably. So, and then right down, I'll try and touch it for you with the, right down at the end of the socket, you can see that bolt there. That's the second one for holding the upper control arm in. And anyway, I'm going to remove the wheel and we'll be back in a second. Okay, once you've got the coolant tank off, it's actually a 15mm, not a 17. Wrench goes on there fine. Getting back in here is a little bit of a pain, so I figure the easiest is just to remove the throttle actuator. Again, excuse my sniffling. 3 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3. Take those off so we can get to that bottom nut easier. I don't want to cram my hands in there, so I'll be back to you in a second. Okay, back in here with the throttle actuator removed. Here it is here, just nice and simple. It's got 3 10mm nuts. As you can see, that's where it sits. You just lift it up, don't unhook anything, roll it out of the way, and I can get down in here. And this is actually, I thought that'd be a 15, but my 15 is not fitting over it. It's a 5/8, which is fitting over it. Kind of odd, but 5/8 works. 5/8 works. Hold that on the one side and just crank her out. You're going to need 2 hands for this, so I'll be back to you. Okay, before the upper bolt is completely all the way off, I wanted it to be stabilized so I could take out the ball joint on the bottom. Now, you might notice something here, that there is no nut holding the lower, holding the upper ball joint on. That is because a few weeks ago I noticed a rattling under the car, and the nut was stripped for the upper ball joint, upper control arm. So I ordered one, and the only way to get that sucker on there and keep it on there for a couple of days was to tighten it as tight as I could, and then I welded it on, knowing that I was going to have to cut it off and then pound the ball joint out. Anyway, not recommended, but it got me where I was going and kept me on the road for a few days. So I've got my ball joint separator in there. Doesn't matter because I've got the new upper control arm, so I don't care about wrecking the boot. I wouldn't use a ball joint pickle fork if it wasn't for the fact that I'm throwing this one away, this ball joint, because it usually wrecks the boot. So anyway, I'm going to pound this sucker in and pop her off. Now, as you can see, the upper ball joint's been popped off. See where I had to slice this bugger. It did actually. I don't know how the thread stripped. Probably just was slightly loose and then just bouncing up and down. Anyway, you don't need to remove the spring. You don't need to put a coil spring compressor under or anything. The upper control arm just sits there. It's no big deal. So now we'll go up here and we will remove the top nut, the top bolt that goes all the way through. Remove that all the way, and I will be back in a second. Okay, the back nut is off, the upper control arm, and we're just going to slide the front. So here's the old upper control arm bolt. We'll see what we got in the new one. Okay, so here's why we never want to throw away our old hardware. That old upper control arm bolt we're going to have to reuse, because this new arm didn't come with one. Just a box with a control arm. I'm glad nothing had to happen to that old bolt. Okay, so make sure to remove this plastic cap. I'm sure we've all gone and tried to put a ball joint on with that cap on before and then realized that it was on there. Anyway, I'm going to set most of this up, and installation's basically the same as reverse, but I'll cover it anyway. Okay, the new upper control arm is in. Bolt has gone through. I haven't put the nut back on the back side. You can see down there the nut is not on yet. Anyway, let me state again that this is not a job to be afraid of. This is very, very simple. Other than filming, I've probably got 15 minutes, 10 minutes into this job so far, even with having to cut off the old bolt. So yeah, there's about 15. I mean, if you've never done this before, give yourself an hour and a beer, and you will be done, no problem. The other side will probably take you half the time. But anyway, let's get this all back together, and I'll show it to you. Okay, upper control arm nut is back on. Tighten down the, excuse my sniffling again, upper ball joint is on. The nut is on, not completely tightened down yet, and the top is not completely, the upper bolt is not tightened down yet. You want to tighten those down once you put the car back on the ground, put the wheel on, put the weight back on the tire, on the wheel. You'll still be able to get in here and get to this nut easily. Turn the wheel all the way to the right. This is the driver's side of the car. But crank the wheel all the way right, you can still get your 17 mil in and on this. You want to tighten it once the suspension's got all the weight on it. Same with the upper control arm mount. You just want to put it on there snug for now. Once all the weight gets down on the car, then you do your final tightening. So I'm going to put this throttle actuator back on and finish everything up. And not much else I can tell you. This is not a daunting job. Don't be scared to do it yourself. Despite what people say, Mercedes are incredibly easy cars to work on. They're very sensible, they're very logical. The bolts and fasteners all come out when you need them to come out. They don't rust and rot like other cars. You know, this is a 1997, and ask anyone out there who lives in a snow belt or where it snows in the wintertime, there's lots of salt. Ask them what it's like working on a 1996 Honda. Absolute hell. Everything will be rusted, everything will be rotted, but on a Mercedes it won't be. Just take your time. It's very, very simple, very logical stuff, nice and easy to work on. So don't be scared to try this stuff. It's pretty easy. I'll be doing more videos soon. Okay, it's starting to rain, so this is going to be quick. Get everything back together. The wheels are on the ground, the weight's back on the car. I tightened the upper bolt, put everything back together. Coolant tank back on, 10mm nut, blah blah blah. 10mm nut back on. The 310s for the throttle actuator, and just going to do the final tightening on the upper ball joint nut, upper control arm ball joint nut. Don't over tighten it. And there we go. And that's all she wrote. Like I said, easy job. Don't be scared by it.